Did you know that reading books to your kids is one of the best things you can do for their brain development? Books do so much more than just entertain. They really play such an important part in a child's brain development. Let's talk about how, and make sure to stick around to the end of this video, because as usual, I have some book recommendations for you of two really beautiful and important books for your kiddos. Hi, my name is Linnea. I'm a Montessori teacher, a mom, and a children's book nerd. And welcome to my channel, The Bookworm Club. Most of us know that books are good for kids, right? But why? To understand that, let's have a quick look at brain development in a child's early years. And I'm not an expert in this topic, but I learned some of it from my training as a Montessori teacher and from reading a few books. But don't quote me on anything. When you look at brain development, you can really see how crucial and important the first 3 years of a child's life is. Over 100 years ago, Maria Montessori said that a child's brain is like a sponge in the first 3 years of its life. She calls it the absorbent mind. And modern research agrees with this too. That the brain acts as a sponge and absorbs everything around the child from birth to 3 years old. All this information and impressions actually molds and changes the child's brain and adapts the child to its surroundings. A fact that I think is really astonishing is that actually 80% of a child's brain development occurs by the age of 3. And this is why the early years of a child's life is so important for laying the foundation for everything that comes after, such as cognitive skills, emotional understanding, and language skills. If you want to read more about this from a Montessori perspective, I highly recommend reading Maria Montessori's book, The Absorbent Mind, and also Babies Need Books by Dorothy Butler. But what does all this have to do with books? Well, when children are exposed to language, whether through reading books, talking, or even singing, their brain is actively making connections that shape their learning and essentially who they are. It's pretty cool. Every word they hear helps build neural pathways that lays the foundation for further language skills. Let me give you an example. When you read a book to a child, their brain is processing the words and unconsciously linking them, concepts and experiences they know. Like if you read a book about farm animals, they're connecting the words and the images in their mind to experiences they've already had or going to have. And they can think back to like, oh, that's a pig, like I saw in the book the other day. Research has shown that reading aloud helps develop their language and comprehension skills, much more than just talking to them, in fact. And children who are often read to have a larger vocabulary by the time they enter school than kids who have not been read to. This is because they're hearing words in a context, like in a story, and this makes it easier for them to understand the words and to actually use them themselves. Relating back to my own experience with my daughter, there are so many words in books that we come across that I probably would never say to her if it wasn't through a book. Because maybe they are words that we don't come across in our day-to-day life, or something that just isn't relevant. Like the other day when we were reading one of the books I'm going to later recommend to you, we came across so many new words, both for her and actually me too. Books don't just expose children to more words. They also provide them with new ways of thinking. Reading helps develop cognitive skills like problem solving, critical thinking, and memory. For example, in a book where a character might be facing a problem, like finding a lost toy or solving a mystery, children learn to think through solutions and maybe even predict what happens next. Let me give you an example. Imagine a child reading a book or being read aloud to by an adult. The main character in the story has to work with others to build a treehouse. The characters are facing problems, they might be arguing, and the child listening to this story is learning about cooperation, well, hopefully if it's a good story. And they're also learning new words. They're probably also thinking, like, what would I do if I was that character? How and where would I build my treehouse? And this kind of thinking helps develop a child's cognitive ability and encourage them to be independent and reflective thinkers. I think one of the most fascinating and important things about books is how stories help children make sense of their own lives. For example, when reading a book where the character is feeling sad or scared, anxious or excited, gives the child the words to name their own feelings and emotions and start to develop emotional intelligence. And I think the second book I'm going to recommend today will illustrate this even more. Now let's look at how early exposure to books impacts long-term academic success. According to research done by the National Institute of Literacy, children who are read to in the early years are more likely to perform well in school, especially in subjects like reading and writing, of course, but also even math. And the reason is quite simple. The foundation for all future learning is built on strong language skills. Books also help kids develop their memory by following along in a story, remembering characters, events, and settings. Kids are exercising their memory muscle. And did you know that memory is strongly linked to later academic skills and success? A study by the University of California found that children who are often read to in their early years perform better on tests of memory and recall. And let's not forget the social benefits too. Books teach children such important and crucial lessons like empathy, fairness, and kindness. When a child reads a story about a character helping a friend, they learn about cooperation, they learn that kindness matters, and that other people have emotions and feelings just like you do. And over time, these lessons contribute to learning better social skills. After that long tangent, let's dive into this week's book recommendations. First up is Stacey's Extraordinary Words by Stacey Abrams, and is illustrated by Kit Thomas. This book tells a heartwarming story that follows young Stacey, a girl with a deep love for words. She finds so much joy in learning new vocabulary and is excited to participate in her school's spelling bee. Guys, please let me know, is the spelling bee actually a thing? Because I've always heard about them in like movies and books and stuff, but in Sweden we don't have them. So please let me know in the comments if you've actually been to one or participated in one. However, she soon realizes that the competition isn't easy. Self-doubt and a class bully challenges her confidence. Throughout this journey, Stacey learns valuable lessons about courage, perseverance, and self-belief. Her mom and teacher encourages her to stay true to herself and keep going, even though things get tough. This book beautifully illustrates the power of words, not only as a tool for learning, but as a way to build confidence and resilience. This book is actually based on the author's own life experience. You can read a bit about her at the end of the book. And I think that makes this book really feel very personal and genuine. And the author Stacey, I think she's a really inspiring and interesting woman. And this book really encourages kids to embrace their unique interests and passion and to stand tall even though you face challenges. This is such a sweet and uplifting read that really celebrates the joy of learning and being yourself. The recommended age range for this book is 4 to 8 years old. And this is one of the books in a series by the same author and kind of on the same themes. So I'll be checking those out and may come back to you in later videos. I like that this story was not very predictable. When I read it for the first time, I was kind of eager to see where the story went. And this is truly a top of the shelf kids book for me. So I really recommend for you to check it out. And I think it's a really good gift to give to someone as well. If you want to check it out, there's a link down below. If you want to get weekly book recommendations and content all about children's literature, don't forget to subscribe. The next book I want to talk about is Luna Loves Library Day, written by Joseph Coelho and illustrated by Fiona Lumbers. This book is a beautiful crafted picture book that really celebrates the magic and the joy of reading and family time. The story follows Luna, a young girl who looks forward to her weekly trip to the library with her dad. It's a really special time for her as she gets to explore different books and be transported to new adventures and worlds while hanging out with her dad. The story touches on family dynamics in a subtle way, and how books can be a source of comfort and connection. It kind of hints that her parents are separated, but the library serves as a happy place where Luna can bond with her father. This story is so warm and touching and celebrates not only the power of books, but also the special moments that can bring people together. The illustrations are really colorful and expressive, and they really add to the charm and depth of the story. I really like this book because it shows young readers that books can be more than just books. They can be a friend, an adventure, or even a source of comfort. This book is also really cool and different because there's kind of a book within the book. On the surface, this book is just kind of fun and different, but if you look deeper, it holds more meaning than that. And that's what I think is great about children's literature, is that it can bring up difficult topics in a pretty easy and straightforward way and work as kind of an entryway for discussion and conversation. And I think for kids or adults too, it's easier to talk about your problems and feelings through the point of someone else. And I think that book does this really well. The age range for this book is 4 to 8 years old. And I really love the setting of this book, of course. It's a library. And I'd say this book is also really good to give as a gift to a kid who loves the library, but also to kids that might have separated parents. But speaking of gifts, you guys, Christmas is coming up. I'm so excited. So next week, I'll be sharing with you some of my favorite Christmas books for kids. They are so beautiful, you don't want to miss out. I'm sure you will want to add them to your Christmas read list. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next week, happy reading and take care. Bye!